Thanks for tuning in to the Mariners virtual Baseball Bash. Now, enjoy this virtual Clubhouse Chat.
Hey, everybody. Dave Sims here, Mariner broadcaster. Glad you've joined us here this afternoon. Got a couple of good guys here, and I feel like I should be from the cast of Hello, Dolly. I'm matchmaking these two guys. One's a pitcher, one's a catcher. They've never met in person. Can you believe this? Mariners virtual Clubhouse Chat. We're available on mariners.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. And we're joined by Chris Flexen, recently signed by the Mariners, coming back from Korea. And he had been with the Mets for 3 years. And Tom Murphy, who unfortunately missed last season, an ankle injury. And I can still hear you shouting after you took a foul ball off your ankle or something. That was epic in its own self, but that's all another thing. Good to have the Murph back. Chris, now you guys have not met in person yet, right?
We have not.
Wow, this is going to be interesting. Chris is in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Tom Murphy's upstate New York at Burns Bay. I have to Google map that one, to be honest with you, Murph. I know where Syracuse is, but I don't know where that is. Let's start first of all, Murph, really looking forward to having you back, dude. The fact that you got hurt and couldn't play last year, that really hurt the team, man. He had 18 bombs the year before, big part of the leadership on the club. You must be thrilled beyond words to get back.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where when you have something taken away from you, you just want it back, as badly as you can. And I spent a lot of time last year just watching, and that's just not a fun thing to do when you're used to being out there with the team. And it never really feels like you're a part of the team when you're just sitting there on the sidelines. I do as much as I can and try to be there as much as I could for my teammates, but at the same time, it's just not the same.
Yeah, and what was it? It was one of those summer camp. It was during summer camp. You took a foul ball off. Was that up in summer camp, or was that down in Peoria?
No, that was during summer camp. I took 2 balls off the foot there, and I ended up having a fracture in my foot over that.
How did
back to back. We were hitting off the machine that day, and it was just throwing gas.
Man, oh man!
But, I tried, kind of.
You tried to suck it up, right?
Yeah, I memean, initially the X-ray and MRI didn't show anything. So for about 2 weeks, I tried to play, and every time I went out there, I just felt like like I had a broken foot, basically. By the second or third inning of the inter squads. So we finally got a CT scan, and it showed pretty clearly what was going on.
Yeah, so you couldn't squat, you couldn't drive off your foot hitting wise. I mean, it was just bad, broken. That's terrible.
Yeah, no doubt.
How did you get through the season watching all this stuff? I mean, how nuts did you go?
I went real nuts, actually. Yeah, it was awkward. It was not fun. I stayed a little bit in Seattle and was kind of traveling between Tacoma and Seattle. And then about halfway through, I ended up going to Arizona because we needed the spots up in Seattle for, players to be. So I just kind of stuck it out the rest of the season down there, did the same kind of monotonous stuff, trying to get better, and went into the offseason, still a little banged up with it, but then, I'm fully healthy now, so everything's good.
Well, if I know you, I know you've been grinding like crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been great because we moved into a new home here about 5 miles from our old house. And, I have everything I need here to train. So it's, whenever I have the itch, I get out there and do what I need to do.
I remember you and we talked, I don't know how we got on this topic. We got on the topic of weightlifting one time. We were talking about Russian techniques and whatnot. And it really worked well for you. You still doing that stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of my bread and butter. The way I view training is that it bought me enough time to kind of get better at the skill side of baseball. So I'm very dedicated to that.
Have you into compound stuff? I mean, your squats and the deadlifts and bench and all that kind of stuff?
No doubt. All the basics.
And what did you I'm just curious about the Russian stuff. What part is that of your regimen?
And basically it's the whole structure of it. They kind of realize what would work best over time, and that's kind of what we're looking at, right? We're looking at the big picture, not day-to-day stuff. So it's more about the program side of it.
Good for you. All right. So Chris Flexen, tell us your story, dude. You had a rough time, 3 years with the Mets. Now you go over to Korea, Doosan, and you did some nice things. You go 8-4 with a 3.01 ERA, 116 2/3 innings, 132 Ks, Murph. Check it out, 130, and only 30 walks. So you've already made a friend here with those numbers, Chris. You're, you're already ahead of the game. But walk us through, your story with the Mets and then going over to Korea.
Yeah, signed back in 2012, got to the big leagues in 17, went through my ups and downs with the struggles. Just had a hard time trying to figure it out and had an opportunity to go overseas, signed with the Doosan Bears in 2020 and, was able to just kind of reinvent myself, learn how to trust myself and, go on and tag guys and play baseball again. And, that organization over there was awesome. I had a phenomenal experience over there and, was able to really turn it on the second half of the season there. And we made it all the way down to the Korean series, came up short, but had a blast.
Good for you. Good for you. The three important words are figure it out. What was it?
Honestly, just the mental side, really about just being comfortable, trusting my stuff and, trusting the team as well. And, that's something that was a huge thing for me is, I was able to figure out my curveball a little better and my command was a lot better over there. And, I was able just to go out and just do me and just pitch, be comfortable, be confident and have trust.
So 132 strikeouts and 116 innings. Out pitch, what is it?
Fastball, breaking ball was my combo over there. Yeah, fastball, top of the zone, and I was able to figure out my breaking ball and be able to bury it.
All right. Murph, when you meet somebody new like this and, you guys see each other in a matter of weeks, the get to know you process, what's it like for a catcher? I mean, you've got some miles on you, so you've done this before. What's the routine?
Yeah, so I always like to go into conversations, kind of having some sort of history, whether that's just video or kind of recalling playing against him. And thankfully, Chris and I came out through AAA around the same time, so I was able to face him as a hitter. And I remember him pretty distinctly, being one of the better guys in the league, and really high pitch ability. He's got great stuff, but when he's commanding the ball, it's a tough at bat. Really downhill playing, and for me. Facing his slider, it was just a different pitch. It was a really good pitch, really high quality pitch.
How was it different from some of the other sliders you've seen from right-handers?
Yeah, so Chris has a very high release point, very downhill plane. So couple that with a very tight, hard slider. It's a fastball for so long, so it's very deceptive and it's hard to really kind of square up. So. I remember that very well from Chris. But if I didn't know him, I'd still be watching his video. We'd still, have our meeting together as a group of catchers, which is what we're doing every Tuesday in the organization. We get together and we go over to the pitchers that we're going to have in during camp and get to know them a little bit better, both analytically and kind of anecdotally as well. So we have a ton of information going on, guys, and coming into camp, and that's really what you need to learn these guys.
Chris, you're going to find out that these guys are very thorough. And I know what Marco Gonzalez, Murph, is probably leader. Well, he's definitely the leader of the pack of the pitchers. But also in terms of the prep time, like you just said, the analytics, the video, and then having a conversation with you and the other catcher, with Luis Torrens in this case.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the best thing we do with our organization. Yeah, I think the best thing we do as an organization. Yeah, no problem. The best thing we do as an organization with our pitchers is they really learn themselves more than anything. They learn the best version of themselves, and everything they do is geared towards that. So they're never trying to be somebody that they're not. They're just trying to make themselves as best as they can be.
Chris, based on what you said, you're going to fit right in with that group.
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan.
Do you know any of the guys in the ball club?
I know of a few guys playing against them. The most obvious one for me coming from the Mets is Justin Dunn. But other than that, yeah, just from playing against guys.
Yeah. Hey, Murph, I would be interested, you had to sit out and you got to watch. Unfortunately, it was probably the most viewing you've ever done of baseball in a long time without playing. What did you learn about the pitching staff? Particularly, let's just talk about the starters. Because we're going with the six-man rotation. What did you learn about these guys?
Yeah, I think kind of watching from afar, obviously, all of our guys have great stuff. And when we fill up the strike zone, we really attack guys. That's what makes Marco so special, right? In a game where he's throwing, everybody's throwing 96, 97. Here's Marco throwing 88, 92 and just commanding the ball wherever he needs to. And you saw flashes of that from every single pitcher we had this year. And when they were, not shying away from contact, filling up the zone, attacking hitters the right way, it really allowed all their stuff to play the way that they should. And so, that's kind of our goal as an organization, is to dominate the zone. And I think that's very realistic for what we have. And I think it's a winning culture when you do that.
I remember talking to Justice Sheffield in the brief time I was down to spring training before everything went kablooey. But he was very complimentary about you and about how, you got him into this zone. And it really paid off for him. I mean, young kid trying to prove himself, coming from a couple of different organizations.
Yeah, I mean, Justice should be extremely proud of himself and the work he put in, not only physically, which is easy to see, but the mental side of the game. That first couple outings that he had when I was able to catch him in Seattle, he was just a Bronco. He was a wild horse out there, no real direction other than the fact that he wanted to be there and do well. And now he's getting to the point where he knows he can do well. And he knows that comes with a very channeled aggression, very, focused mindset. So he deserves all the credit with that. I think he's made such a huge leaps and bounds. He's going to really start realizing his potential here soon.
Chris, you're born and raised in Newark, California. Tell us about your early days in baseball and how you fell in love with the sport and how you progressed up to get here to the majors.
Yeah, I started T-ball when I was 4 years old. Both my parents, mom played softball, dad played baseball as well. So I grew up in a baseball family. And I played travel ball all throughout, nonstop up until high school, and then obviously high school ball. And then, just from day one, fell in love with the sport. Everything was baseball. Hey, Dad, can we go practice? Hey, can we go do this? And, parents always taking me to tournaments, and it was just nonstop.
Hey, walk me through your first season with the Mets. You go 3-6. Give me the high lows of that first year in the big leagues. Yeah,
well, definitely the biggest high has to be the debut and the first win, right? Debut was a rough one though, unfortunately, but it was still an awesome experience. And then the first win was unforgettable. But it was something where I was actually hurt that year as well. I got to Double-A, and I think beginning of June had 7 starts. I had 7 starts prior, or that was all I had prior to coming up. And for me getting up there, just as far as stuff, I felt ready, but mentally I just wasn't ready for that. And it was tough to be confident, tough to really figure it out. So that was definitely my biggest struggles. And when you lack confidence in this game will eat you alive. So that was something that really took a toll on me that year.
And my hometown's not a good place to be struggling with the Mets and Yankees, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What kind of injury did you have that year?
I had knee scope.
Okay.
Wow. So I've had zero problems since. I'm healthy. I've lost a ton of weight since, and really.
What are you tipping at these days?
I'm actually sitting around 218.
What's that down from?
262 that year. I was 262 even in 2018.
Dude.
Yeah.
262?
Yeah.
Were you a guard on the football team?
Yeah, pretty much.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
good for you.
Not in a good spot mentally, but, being able to go to Korea, make some changes, figure things out, and, really start focusing on my body and figuring out what it needs to do to be able to perform. And, I think I've started to get a handle on that.
Big change in the diet, no doubt.
Absolutely.
What was killing you? What's your go-to that you probably shouldn't have gone to?
Late night sweets, a lot of ice cream at night.
Hey, any flavor, right? That's me too. I was 247 a few years ago. I get you, man.
Yeah, a lot of ice cream.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start working out with Murph.
Yeah, the guy's in great shape. I've heard a lot from him too. Like playing against him as well. They always said that guy's a tank. So I know he's strong. I know he can swing it. So.
All right, Murph, I was going here. Talk to me about hunting. What was it like? What's this off season? What have you been doing? How many times you've been sitting in a tree waiting for something to come by?
Yeah, so I got out a decent amount. If it was up to me, I would go every day. But with wife and kids and stuff, being in the off season, you gotta separate your time, wisely. But no, I had a good time in the woods. that's my home away from home. That's part of who I am.
What were you hunting?
So I usually just hunt for whitetail and black bear. Those are my two that I really go after.
Wow. And what was it a good season for you?
It was okay. I had a real good bow season. Hit one of the biggest deer I've ever seen. So unfortunately, wasn't able to find him. It's part of hunting. Wasn't the best part, but
You stuck him with
I couldn't find him. I tracked him for a long ways. Even called in dog trackers. That's a volunteer service we have here in New York State. And we put the work in. Just wasn't able to find the deer, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a great year regardless. It's never bad being out there.
I hear you. How cold did it get? Like what time of day we?
Oh man, it's funny. My wife and I were just kind of took some mornings I get in there, 4 or 5 in the morning, to sit in the dark for an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever, just waiting. But the other day it was -17 here, so we're getting cold weather for sure.
Man, I don't think you'd have a lot of if you were inviting a lot of the fellas. I don't think you'd get too many bites.
No, not at all. Maybe Seeger. He's about the only guy that would brave that.
I know he lives in North Carolina. I think he was born in upstate New York. But yeah, wow. That's impressive, dude. That really is. Chris, you doing what kind of off the field kind of stuff do you get involved in?
Training, obviously, is the most obvious one. I work out over at Barless Methods here in Port St. Lucie. And then on my free time, I try to get out and golf as much as I can. So in Port St. Lucie, I was actually on the golf course today. 82 degrees. I shot 83.
Typical pitchers. Right. Pitchers, quarterbacks, and kickers, do not play with them if you're a hack because they're going to take your money. That's pretty cool. Let's get to some questions for Chris and Murph. Fellas, let's see what we have here. Okay, of course, Elisa wants to know, Murph, you know what it is. Where's the bear?
It sits probably in the living room overlooking us every chance it gets. So, yeah, this is the bedroom. We kind of had to make peace with not having any animals in the bedroom. So.
For those who may have missed that story, when, where, and how much did it weigh?
Yeah, so I was in Harrisville, New York, and I was with my grandfather. Actually, him and I went up for the day, and it tipped the scale well over 450. We don't know exactly how much, but just based off the measurements, you can measure and get pretty close to their estimated weight. Yeah,
that sounds really big, but is that like they come even bigger than that, right?
Yeah, it's still a good sized black bear, but it's not anywhere near like a world record or anything like that.
Man, how the heck? Whew. You're related to Daniel Boone? I mean, yeah, that's impressive. How many guys have you run across in baseball who hunt as much as you do?
Honestly, not many. And I would say it's usually pretty different. I mean, it seems like a lot of the guys in the southern states tend to, get out a little bit more and hunt a little bit more. But even there, it's not too comparable to what we kind of do here in the Northeast.
Right. And you're strictly bow, or you do bow and a gun, or what?
Yeah, I do both. Depending on the season, I'll alternate.
All right. And depending on the season, I'm a city guy, so that's why I'm asking all these questions. So bear, and what else have you gone after?
Deer as well. Yeah. That, I mean, I can. Yeah, we have predator hunting too as well. The coyotes and fox and that sort of thing. But that is more kind of is while you're hunting for deer or bear.
Yeah. Have there been any volunteers to go out and videotape your forays? That could be interesting. I'm not volunteering. Yeah. I'm way beyond that age. I just like to see the videotape. Chris, what was it like going to a whole another country, another culture?
Yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking for sure. But I went in open-minded, and fortunately for me, the team welcomed me with open arms right away from day one, made me feel comfortable from the beginning. And that was a huge step forward for me. Yeah. I still keep in contact with a lot of those guys. I do some video calls with them when I can. There's a huge time difference, but and to experience the culture just as a life experience itself was phenomenal. Just to experience that, that part of the world and their culture and things like that. It was phenomenal.
I'm going to guess that there's guys over there whose English was better than your Korean.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Korean was a tough language for me to learn. I know very minimal words. I can't piece together sentences. It was tough. That's why we had the translators.
I did the 88 Olympics covering track and field for NBC, the FloJo years, probably before you guys were born. But I do remember, let's see, kimchi is the pickles, the stuff that's fermented underground. I remember that. And kamsahamnida, I think, is thank you.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Yep. We'll see you next week. Kamsahamnida. That's all I remember from that.
Yep, and with the bow, kamsahamnida.
That's right. And a lot of you gotta do that, right?
Yep.
And then, as typical of the Asian culture, they have great respect for their elders, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, did you hang with a family, or what was the deal in terms of living arrangements?
Living arrangements. We were in a very nice hotel. It was about a 15-minute walk from the field, 5-minute taxi, 5-minute train. And then, they took top end care of us, and it was an awesome experience.
I'm not familiar with. I've been to Seoul, but I'm not familiar with Doosan. Is that part of Seoul, or is that it's a suburb, or what? Different city?
Yeah. It's in Seoul. It's actually the field is right across from the Olympic Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, so right dead smack in Seoul.
Wow, I had a good time there. It was the Ben Johnson Olympics where he got kicked out for a little bit of steroids. Oh, that was an experience. Murph, what with the way that Jerry is putting the ball club together, are you familiar with some of the names, the other pitchers that he has brought in recently? I know because he's trying to remake the bullpen.
Yeah, I have some sort of history with most of them, and if I don't, like I said, usually I try to dig up as much video as I can and try to learn these guys the best we can. With last year, a lot of guys getting opportunities that are lifetime opportunities, and to go out there and pitch in the big leagues. I expect a huge jump forward for a lot of our guys in getting that confidence. A guy like Joey Gerber, right? Like a guy that's been very dominant in the minor leagues. I feel like he probably learned a lot this past year, and he's the type of guy that will go into the offseason and make himself better. Like that's what our organization's full of, and that's always the promising part.
Take a couple more questions for the fellas here. Let's see what we have, folks. Let's see. Tyler wants to know, Tom, what was your biggest challenge through your recovery? Great question.
The physical side is the physical side. I mean, that's kind of just time, right? That's the easy part. It's definitely the mental side of the game, not playing for an entire year, coming off, my best year in the big leagues in 2019, and then just not doing anything. It was mentally taxing, to say the least. And it was one of those things where it just kind of caught up to me all of a sudden. And then you realize, like, holy cow, like this is not something I want to be doing for, my age 29 season. So that was definitely the harsh part for me.
75 games, 273, 18 homers, 40 runs batted in. The home run jump was really outstanding in a lot of big spots. What was the big key that turnaround that got you on that trajectory?
Kind of working with our two guys, JD and Laker, Jared DeHart and Tim Laker are our hitting coaches. They leave no stone unturned, and that's something that I was kind of really, wanting or needing in my career, and hadn't quite had it, until that point where it seemed like every facet of hitting was covered by them and covered in a way that was, down to every detail. So, I owe those guys so much for putting in the time and effort and work with me. They're up till 3 or 4 in the morning every day, just trying to put together scouting reports for us. So
was that a total remake of what you had as a hitter, what they did?
We tried a lot of different things. I can put it that way. Some things are always going to kind of stay in your swing, I guess you can say, but at the same time, there's always something you can improve on and try to adjust. And like I said, we spent a lot of time trying to figure those things out and make things better. Some games it would click, some games we're still in that working mode. And that's kind of how I still view myself. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, you can go out and compete in the batter's box when you need to.
Yeah. You're going to be the lead dog in catching, but Luis Torrens was pretty impressive a little bit. We saw him late last year. Did you get a good look at him?
Yeah, I don't know him personally. I don't, because I was in Arizona by the time he had come to Seattle, so I didn't get to meet him or anything like that. But everything I've heard is great. Kid puts his work in, young, and talented, and to get to the big leagues as a catcher, 24, 25 years old, that's an impressive feat. So obviously the kid is full of talent.
Yeah. Chris, what's going to be the most challenging thing getting together with a new team this time with the bonus of everybody being able to speak English as opposed to last year in Korea? I mean, that's going to be a plus for you, but what's going to be the biggest challenge in terms of getting yourself settled with the new crew?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge as the new guy coming in is, just being able to meet everybody and get comfortable. But, I know it's a young core group of guys, and, it seems like a fun clubhouse. And from what I've heard from other guys talking, Justin Dunn, I mean, he said nothing but good things about this group. So, it's just about being able to come in, be comfortable, be open-minded with things, and, just really get a feel for the organization.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I look forward to seeing you guys. Some more questions. Let's see, before we run out of time, let's take about 2 more questions here if we could. Millie wants to know if you could have dinner with, that's a good one. If you could have dinner with 3 people in baseball, who would they be? Start with you, Chris.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Growing up in the Bay Area, I got to go number 1. I'd love to have dinner with Matt Cain. I was a huge fan of him growing up.
He had a good run, man.
Yeah, he had a good run. Man, 3 other guys. There's so many to choose from.
I know.
That's
any hitters, or would they all be pitchers?
No, it doesn't necessarily have to be pitchers. I would definitely do some hitters too. I'm just trying to think. There's so many options. Being over.
Were you a kid during the Bonds era and the Will Clark era and a lot of those guys?
Will Clark was a little bit before me. Bonds, when he was over in San Francisco, was definitely my time growing up. It was definitely then. I mean, it'd be awesome to have dinner with him. That's definitely an obvious one.
Yeah.
If we stick in the Giants,
let me come back to you for that third one. You got a third one?
If we stick with the Giants, I'll go Tim Lincecum.
Some size.
Freak, right? Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Murph, how about you?
Yeah, so my first 2, growing up Yankees fan, I'd have to go with Jorge Posada. I mean, he was my guy growing up playing catcher, and he was the longtime Yankees catcher.
Yeah.
I always look towards. And here's my son kind of making a guest appearance here.
What's his name?
His name is also Thomas, but we call him by his middle name, which is Jace.
Jason, how are you, pal? How old are you?
He's 2.5. Mom just took him away. But
by the way, kudos to your wife. I mean, she allows you to go out there and do all that hunting at 4:00 in the morning at 17.
Yeah.
God bless.
I'm a lucky man.
As my football friends say, you outkicked your coverage, son.
Yes, exactly. Then the other 2 would be on the pitching side, actually, Roger Clemens. I grew up just fascinated by him. Loved his demeanor on the mound. Oh, man, it was great. I loved watching him. I always felt like the Yankees were going to win when he was on the mound. And then actually the third, which may be a little bit of a surprise, but it would be Ichiro. He embodies everything I want to be. The guy still shows up to the field every single day and works in the same manner as if he was playing. To me, that is absolutely incredible. I mean, you think about how many guys just hand away the game when they're done, and Ichiro refuses to do that. It's just a part of him and who he is.
But the only big difference is his hair is grayer, but his body looks the same. And if he were playing in a league that you can't throw more than probably 85, he'd probably still hit 330. He's amazing. That's a good call. Chris, make sure. I'm sure Itch will be down there. You got to look him up, and before you go down there, go to YouTube or wherever, put on his highlight tape, and look at the stuff. The way he was received when we were in Japan 2 years ago at this time, which was Murphy. That's right. You were still with Colorado. You hadn't come over, right?
Yeah, I unfortunately wasn't on that trip, but I would have paid a lot of money to be there.
I've been lucky to see a lot of things. I've never seen adoration of a guy. I mean, people at the mere sight of him, there were people crying. I mean, that's how big this dude is over there, man. It's just it's unbelievable. And listen, we've run out of time here, but I have enjoyed the heck out of this. I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Both of you guys stay healthy. And we're going to show our appreciation. We're going to give away Mariners prize pack. Lucky fan's going to get a virtual, let's see, during this chat. And what are we going to get? Prize winner, Linda Johnson. All right. Congratulations, Linda. And Mariner Rep is going to be reaching out with you for details. And we've got more upcoming virtual events. We've got Nick Margavicius at 6:30 Super Trivia hosted by Gary Hill. Make sure you visit mariners.com/baseball bash for the full schedule. Chris Flexen, Tom Murphy, thanks, fellas. Good to see you. Look forward to catching up with you real soon. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Sims. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you for watching today's virtual Clubhouse Chat. For more information on more great events coming up, visit mariners.com/baseball bash.